Howdy, my name is Derek Henry with XLEV8 Consulting, and this video is a demonstration of the XLEV8 Add-in. While Excel is an incredible application, arguably the most important ever built, I think we can agree that there's some opportunities to make things easier and quicker. So if you want to save a lot of time with common actions like changing highlight colors, changing number formats, maybe you want to filter a little quicker and find errors, or just unfilter, filter to something else. Maybe you want to navigate a big workbook with lots of sheets a little quicker. Jump to the first sheet, leverage a table of contents, and jump around to anywhere quickly. Maybe you want to create hundreds or thousands of folders and files, rename them, do all kinds of things like that. Maybe you want to automate updates in PowerPoint. Maybe you want to automate things in Outlook, like adding a bunch of calendar invites, or sending emails, or adding contacts or tasks. Maybe you even want to automate things that you do on the web all the time. So if that's the case, please keep watching. This add-in has hundreds of features that make Excel easier, quicker, and just more powerful, that save people hundreds of hours a year. Whether you use Excel little or a lot, whatever industry you work in, whatever type of role level you have, there's something for everyone. There are even things in here for people that are teachers or work at home. So let's jump in. We're going to look at a few examples today of common things that help save time, reduce errors, and get more out of Excel. But first, we're going to talk about how things are organized. When you set this up in less than 5 minutes, it will add a tab to your Excel ribbon called XLEV8. This is going to be organized by category. Within each category, you're going to see menus. Within each menu, you're going to see the macros. If there is a keyboard shortcut assigned, you'll see that in brackets. And you'll also see the description when you hover over it. Now, this is a nicely organized UI for people who are visual, but it relies on the mouse. And as you might know, the mouse is up to 10 times slower than other options. And it's also tough to remember where things are. So the better option is to leverage keyboard shortcuts. Now, there are several of these that are going to be set by default when you install it. Feel free to change those if you want in bulk. But this is a great example of how configurable this is and how personalized you can make it so that it's easy for you. There's even a cheat sheet that's available so that you can find what you need quicker and get acclimated easily. You can set those in bulk, you can set them one at a time. So that's another option. And then a third option, because there's so many things in here, literally it just became tough to know where things were. So you can leverage a search box. Now we can all agree that autocomplete has revolutionized the way that we find things. So just type a couple letters like copy, or file, or email, or highlight, and then use the arrow keys to put the entire name in the box, press enter to run it. Now with that entire name in the box, you can also set and unset keyboard shortcuts, set and unset favorites so you can filter easily and search easily, see the description and details, or even launch the help page with instructions and examples. Now this doesn't just work for the macros that are in the add-in, you can also use it to run custom ones. You can use it to run any APIs that you configured. You can even use it to run any macros that are in your active workbook. So this is like the ultimate shortcut. I literally use this all the time and it saves over an hour a week because there's so many that you can run and there's only enough keyboard shortcuts to assign, right? About 70% of the macros in the add-in are shortcuts that combine steps, make them easier than Excel does by default. The more shortcuts you use, the more time you save. People who leverage a lot of keyboard shortcuts tend to save about 15 minutes a day, and over the course of a year, that adds up to over 2 weeks. There are 3 primary shortcut types within the add-in: toggles, pickers, and everything else. A toggle is a macro that cycles through different settings that you can configure based on what your preferences are. So as you can see here, I'm using one keyboard shortcut to cycle through my five favorite colors. You can set whatever you want. This is like having several shortcuts in one. Literally, that's why I built this, because I was running out of keys for all the colors. The top left one determines what the next one in the cycle is. So this could be one cell or it could be many. Another example is with number formats. So as you can see here, we've got our favorite number formats. Dates can even be included in that. So toggle through those, and again, it's like several in one. Another type is a picker. So this one, we're going to look at an example that works with sheets. So when you run this, it presents you with several different options that you can do to quickly do things that are maybe difficult in Excel, or maybe they're not even available in native Excel. So it presents you with codes. Usually it's just 1 or 2 letters. So you can type that and then apply it. You can even set defaults so that they're things you can run even easier. This particular one is called the Sheet Action Picker. Presents several sheet-related options, so if you want to jump to the last sheet, enter L. If you want to jump to the first sheet, enter F. If you want to insert a table of contents, just like the one you're seeing here, that's option T, something you can't do with Excel by default. If you wanted to search for a sheet by name, you can enter option J and then search for email or file or whatever it is that you're looking for and jump there very quickly. So a lot of options there that can help you. Another example is the filter picker. In this one, there are several options for filtering. You can filter to errors, you can filter to particular values, you can unfilter, you can filter to the next thing or the previous thing in the list of iterations with just a couple of these codes. So if we press T, it'll jump to whatever cell or multiple cells we've got highlighted. Or if we want to press U, it'll unfilter. So it just makes it easier. Now, an even better option, a lot of these filters have, or pickers, sorry, have an option to save defaults. So in this case, if we want to save all the different filters we have, a whole bunch of sort settings, even the column widths, just press option D from the filter picker. And in here, save your favorites. So if we want to apply a filter and all those settings from before, just press 4, and it does it all in one step. So if you apply the same settings over and over again, that can save quite a bit of time. Another example is the print picker. Now, we're probably not printing a whole lot of stuff these days. Most things are digital, but this one can help when you do, whether it's a physical printout or a PDF. So with this one, there are several options to set up your favorite print settings, like orientation, landscape or portrait, or the margins, or how many pages to fit, or repeating things, or centering. All those things can be done quickly, but even better is the ability to set custom ones. So if option P is the one I have for default, so I can see a preview. This isn't terribly pretty. It's cut off, it's not really optimized. So what we can do is apply one of our favorites. After you configure a favorite, you just set the printout the way you want, save a favorite, and then you can use it over and over again. So if we just run it and press option 4, it's going to take those settings and it's going to apply them, whether it's one sheet or whether it is hundreds of sheets, and all those settings are going to be applied automatically. Just imagine how much time that takes manually if you have hundreds of sheets. This does it really quickly. So if we look at it again and run the preview, notice it's a lot prettier. It's added the headers and the footers, and it's repeating rows at the top, and it's fitting it all to one page, wide at least. That's a lot easier. Another example is just finding things. You may not realize how much time people spend looking for stuff like files or emails and things. McKinsey found it's almost a quarter of the time we all spend working. So if you want to find a recent file, just search for the word demo or the word test or the word balance, and it's going to show you all the files, either searching the entire file path or just the file itself. So if you wanted to look at this and just search for part of it, you could do that as well. And when you highlight it, it's going to tell you the folder path it sits in, the file name, the date, and the file size. You can remove records, or you can remove all of them, or you can search for a particular range. I use that all the time, and it probably saves an hour a week as well. If you want to do things in bulk, that's another type of macro. Now, 250 or so are shortcuts. We're going to look at a few that are things in bulk. One of the things that people do in bulk a lot is they get data they have to restructure. An example here is data that's got repeating columns. Can't really do a whole lot of formulas and analysis with that easily. So what if we wanted to unpivot that? Well, there's a macro called unpivot table. So when you run this, it's going to say how many rows are above your data, how many columns are there to the left of your data. In this case, there's 2 of each. And it's going to cycle through that, and it's going to export it to another sheet in a structure that's more stacked vertically as opposed to horizontally. And that makes it a lot easier to do things like filtering and formulas and analyze that data. So within a couple of seconds, that might have taken several minutes to do manually, and here it does it for you. So just label those new columns that it creates for you and move on. Another example is creating subfolders. Now this is something people spend a lot of time on, is creating folders, editing names, renaming things, moving things around. So let's see what this looks like. There are a lot of macros in here that require what I call a settings sheet. Okay, so when you run it, it's going to look for a specific sheet. If it doesn't find it, it's going to create it for you. So we're going to say create subfolders. That's what we want to run. It's going to create all the different columns. It's going to have the header menus, or sorry, the cell comments and headers here. so you can see exactly what's required. It guides you through it. And then you fill this in and run that same macro again, it's going to process it. Okay, so I've already filled that in on this other example in our little demo file here. So what's going to happen is we've got a blank folder, and we want to create all these different folders off to the side here. So we're going to run this again. Just type part of the name in the search box, and it's going to run it. So in a matter of a few seconds, it's going to create hundreds of folders within the folder that we want. You can do the same thing with files. You can rename them. You can move them around if you want to. Whatever the action is you're trying to do, this makes it a lot easier. So if we go back over here, you can see that there are a ton of folders, and it created them in seconds. Right, so here's all of them. Now, another example of how to do things in bulk is with PowerPoint. Now, one of the things I had to do is update this PowerPoint file every month that had about 120 slides in it. So it was a lot of copying and pasting and resizing and reformatting and just updating the content. It took 3 days to do this once we had our books closed. Well, there was often a last minute adjustment. We said we can't really address that because this takes too long. That's where this comes in. So if you want to say, here are the items that should be updated in a file, you just create a list and add to it over time. Right? You're able to say, where is this data? What is it in some Excel file? And this can update it. So we've got our before here on the left. If you're going to update things based on a period or based on some change that you've made. And we've got on the right, this is what we want it to look like based on that source data changing from month to month. This makes it so much easier. This is what the data looks like in Excel. It could be the basis of tables. It could be a pivot chart or some other chart. It could be whatever you want. You can say, PowerPoint, this is what we want to update. So that 3 days it took me went all the way down to 5 minutes. And what happens is you have more time to spend analyzing, to add commentary, and even address last minute changes. You don't have to push those out another month. So that's an awesome option. You may not use PowerPoint a lot when you share information, and this might give you a great option that's insightful. Another example is integrated with Outlook. There's so many things people do in Outlook that take a lot of time, like adding a whole bunch of appointments, or sending the same repetitive email, or meetings, or managing your contacts or tasks. Here's an example of one you can run. Say we've got some type of appointment. I use this for all the kids' activities that I have to track because they're not always the same date and time and place. So it's easy to use Excel for find, replace, copy, paste, filter, and add it very easily. And guess what? Then you can send it to your family members or a friend or a colleague. They can leverage the same thing. So when you run it, it looks a lot like this. You can add things in bulk. You can delete them in bulk. You can update them or export them. Another example is working with emails. Now, if you're like me and you like to file things and make it very organized, you might end up with a lot of emails. You might have a lot of folders that they have to get filed in. It takes a lot of time. The more of each that you have, it's like playing the matching game with a 2-year-old, right? Well, the way this works is when you run it, it's going to export a current list of all the folders that you have. You're able to design rules based on the sender, the domain, the subject, etc. What folder do you want it to go in? You can even ignore folders or the subfolders within those. You can ignore flagged emails if you're still working with those. And what's going to happen is it's going to suggest a folder that those should go in based on those rules or based on the similarity between your folder names and the email subject. So what happens is it creates a drop-down folder. You can look through the drop-down to decide where it should go if you want to change it, or notice some of them are blank if it doesn't find a match. Now, if you have a lot of folders, use the search box, right? So you can use that as well. Just use autocomplete just like a lot of other areas. And so what happens, remember, this is suggesting things. Notice how it ignored the flag ones if you wanted it to at the top. So once you've reviewed this, when you're ready to file them, run it again, and it will literally file them for you. It's going to highlight everything in green, and notice the inbox is a lot cleaner. This macro saves me over 3 hours a week alone because there's so many emails and it takes a lot of time to drag them to the right place. And the benefit here is it's just suggesting them. Outlook rules file them before you even get a chance to see them, so there's a good chance you miss something. This is an awesome option. What if you want to integrate with Google Chrome? And I know that might sound a little crazy, but there's so many repetitive things people do on the web, like filing expense report. I used it for that. Or downloading a report, one location or one time period at a time. I did that a lot. It took forever, and so I said maybe there's an easier way. Or even the best case that I had was automating the prep steps that I had in my demo instance. It took me about 35 minutes a day to do 800 individual clicks or drag things or filter things or whatever. I was able to teach this to automate it, and it did it in about 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm doing something else. So all you have to do is say, what action do we want to take? What value do we want to set, if there is one? And what item do we want to apply it to? You can even pause to enter credentials. You can skip things if you need to based on conditionals. And when you're done, it looks something like this. Now, this is a really basic example, just filling in a feedback form, but it gives you a sense of what's going on. It's going to prompt you with how long it took and how many actions were applied, just to make sure that makes sense. This is huge when you're doing a lot of repetitive things on the web. The more things you do, the more often you do them every day, the more time it's going to save. And then lastly, we talked about connecting to PowerPoint and Outlook and Chrome. You can connect to anything that has APIs available to import and export data. I've done this quite a bit when it came to taking data that had to be imported in a very structured fashion. You can say, what application is it? What's the URL for it? What are the credentials? Is it import export? Is it, what are some of the variables you might have to say? And then what fields are going to have to be imported or exported? So an example here, when you set this up, you're able to not just say, what are those configurations? You're able to design the UI to go along with it. So it creates another tab up here called XLEV8 space API. You're able to segregate things in categories and menus, and within each of the menus you have a list, and then you have the description if you want to. So an example of how I use this, here is one that will export all of my favorite songs from a Spotify playlist. So it's going to connect to that API and it's going to export it. You can even have it make it configure a table if you want to. So whether you're exporting information, reports that you've configured, or whether you want to import things quickly and take out that whole import-export file process and browsing around, this makes it so much easier. Now, hopefully you saw a lot of things that you liked, so let's summarize here. This is how you can truly excel, by making it easy. This particular add-in is easy to install and learn and use, especially with the searching and the guidance that you're given. It extends Excel, and you can get a lot more out of it. I mean, everybody's got Excel, you're already paying for it, so why not use it more? It's controlled by leveraging defaults and making things more consistent and having validation along the way and other ways to do checks and balances. You have a lot less errors. Obviously, this is all about efficiency, right? We're trying to make shortcuts, do things in bulk, integrate with different common applications. But the best thing is how you can leverage it to spend more time on what matters. Developing people, learning, analyzing, strategizing. That's what matters the most. So hopefully you found several things that are interesting. Remember, there's a lot more in here. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you found this helpful, please like, comment, share, and of course, try it out for yourself at XLEV8.co. You can even use the QR code to download that for yourself. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.